Hi, I am Stephanie J. Block.
And I'm Mary Lee Fairbanks.
And you are listening to Season 4 of Stages Podcast, where we go behind the scenes and beyond the resume.
Join us as we talk to some of the greatest talents from theater, TV, film, and more. And then check out stagespodcast.net for past episodes, merch, and so much more. And love where you are now.
So what cast album were you listening to right before you decided to talk to us? Did you listen to something?
This morning, let me go to Spotify and tell you.
Yeah, I think I need to know.
Come from away.
Oh,
Now-
that's interesting. Oh, let me guess. Do you enjoy the classics more or sort of modern musical more?
It's definitely a mix. The last one I was listening to was the band's Visit.
Interesting.
A little
Yeah.
David Yazbek. Okay.
Yes, because they have a new one downtown, and Itamar Moses has a play at the Public. So I just was sort of
We had John Cariani on the show
We sure
a while
did.
back last season.
I was listening. I got to say, I've done so much listening in prep for this, but it's mostly been the divas. It's mostly been the ladies.
Thanks for going back to previous episodes.
Of course, I want to be prepared. And there was a song that was in my head this morning that I didn't go back and listen to, but it's been part of my life for like 20 years. So, you and me were not like the rest. We once were the best.
Best.
Oh,
Oh, Ryan, you're terrific. You're just terrific.
Trusted as of somehow. Love where you are now.
Ryan J. Haddad is a personal essayist, playwright, and actor. He is a hilarious and vibrant human that seemingly goes through this life with an inner spotlight that shines outward. I believe I first met Ryan backstage at the Neil Simon Theater after a performance of the Cher Show, and he was forward, he was funny, gracious, generous, with a really warm and sexy smile. His plays, "Hi, are you single?" And he likes to say, "Hi, are you single? Hi, are you single?" There's many iterations with different offenses that you can use. And Dark Disabled Stories. They're widely acclaimed. Both critics and audiences love them. And both of them, New York Times critic picks. They are beloved because they are intimate, insightful, forward and comedic like him, and radically accessible. Ryan is an artist with cerebral palsy, and he openly shares with his audiences and his art form, our art form, his experiences, his trials, his triumphs, musings as a queer man living and loving in New York City with mobility issues. Dark Disabled Stories was presented at the Public Theater, and it was touted, "This play proves disability can be funny, messy, sexy, and complicated." Ryan was recently celebrated by the American Theater Wing with an Obie Award for Best New American Play. And his co-stars, Dickie Hartz, Alejandra Ospina, they were also recognized with a grant to help sustain this mission of access, inclusion, and diversity in live theater. He also received a special citation from the Drama Desk Awards recognizing his talents and his excellence and his unabashed, meaningful work creating a cross-disability space of what live theater can be for all audience members, able or disabled alike. But don't you dare call him inspirational. Don't do it. Don't say that to this man, and we will talk about that later. Ryan's television credits are many. FX's A Murder at the End of the World on Hulu, Netflix's The Politician. First of all, FX's, Netflix's, it's very hard to say, and appearances on Bull, Madam Secretary, and The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. His plays have been developed with the aforementioned Public Theater, Manhattan Theater Club, New York Theater Workshop, Berkeley Rep, Primary Stages, Pride Plays, and more. Please welcome to the Stages Podcast, the force that is known as Ryan J. Haddad. Ryan J. Haddad, to stage, please. Ryan, can we have you to stage?
Welcome. It was so hard for him to be quiet during that entire
That
I
intro.
was
saw, I
marvelous.
saw a lot of like just stating. There was a
Yeah,
lot
you couldn't
of
see his face
gestures and
stuff, but he was
movement.
like, his hand was over the mouth. He was trying to be
Oh
silent.
my God.
I know things about you. You did
That
homework?
was
Oh,
extraordinary. That
Papa.
was synthesized. That was synthesized. I'm so impressed. I'm not going to make you redo any of it, but I want to start. No, of course
However,
not. But I want to start with the beginning when you called me a personal essayist, because
yes,
that is so, what an interesting way in, because it's not exactly true in my professional life, but it is where at the beginning of college, I assumed there would be space for me. First of all, I didn't know what a personal essay was until I took a class freshman year. And then I did it freshman, sophomore, a little bit in junior, senior too. And what my plays have become basically is personal essay on stage and
yes, because they've
autobiographical
been, yes, they're
storytelling. But I think there are people, I'm not going to name them, in the English department or formerly retired in the English department at Ohio Wesleyan University, who wish that I had, stayed on the page and stayed like truly literary, because they see bigger value in that
Yeah.
in that form. And so they say, I had one professor who is now retired and who I have never spoken to since. I literally was coming back to school to do Hire You Single as an adult, as a paid artist, a guest artist. And he was sitting at dinner with me. There were many people at the table, and this man said, if only you had just decided to pursue writing, really stay with writing, but you were seduced by performance. It's that poison of that seduction of performance. And I went, do you know who that child wanted? The child in the living room in the backyard, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, didn't know what the F a personal essay was. But I
Yeah.
wanted to be on stage. I wanted to be in musicals. And so this is what I think is so beautiful, is this combination of all these skills to find my way to the stage.
Yeah.
You're on Stage's
yes.
podcast. But when you said essay, I just opened this whole like gate to the past of, I thought that's what I had to do because I didn't think there was room for me on the stage. And boy, have I been happily proven wrong by that.
I would debate with your professor and say, look,
Yeah.
if you took out all of the stage direction and you took out the cast of characters and you
Yeah.
literally just published what you have written in your singular voice with your life experience, put that in the New Yorker or put that in a book of essays, it would translate the same. This allows you to be the vehicle of having those words in your personal language and your
Right.
Yes.
personal body posture. And so I would debate that. Like, you're getting two. Hey, professor, we are doing two for the price of one. You can't do the opposite. You can't take an article or an op-ed and put it on stage. It needs
Yeah.
to be voiced. It
No.
needs to be
Yeah.
given dialogue. But you
Yeah.
can take dialogue and then put it on a piece of paper and publish it and call it a book of essays.
Yeah.
So
Every art form has its own unique expression.
Yeah.
And essays have a unique way of presenting something, but stage work has another unique way. And I don't see why one has to be framed as better or more intellectual or more than
Mhm.
another. And as long as you're reaching people, it doesn't
Mm.
matter what the venue is that you reach them. If they read it in the New Yorker or if they prefer to sit in a stage and be part of the essence of an evening in the theater, to me, that's more powerful.
correct.
But to others, it might not be. So why
long as the
degrade
reader
one in order to make yourself feel better about your own particular art form, you know?
And as long as the read can also be on Audible, right?
Right.
So
Exactly. Well,
that
yeah,
they can
exactly.
also hear
Right.
it and experience it from
Yeah, because
that
tone
perspective.
is so important. Tone is like,
Totally.
and there is tone on the page, of course, but also when you're dealing in topics of marginalized communities,
Right.
of which disability is one, there's a lot of misconception that you are fighting against all the time in the telling of your own story. Because if I just took the words without my interpretation of those words, people could read them 100 different ways
Right.
and
Mhm.
put on them their own biases. And sometimes my vocalization of it stops that from happening, but not always.
Even
Yeah.
your personal essence, as you stand out on that stage and your vibration and your essence comes across and washes over that room, they're getting a different interpretation than they would have had they read it on the page. They're feeling you and what you're offering in that space. It's a totally different thing. To me, it's more valuable. But
I agree.
Oh gosh. Well, I agree. I agree.
I agree. I don't think it's ego. I think it's ownership. And why
yeah,
does that have to be looked upon as, oh, this inflated, you have to be at the center. It has to be about you. It's my life. So
yeah,
yes, I would like to take ownership and claim my life and my experience for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And my place on the stage.
Which you
Really.
always knew you'd have, right?
The little boy did. The little boy knew. And then there was, some turbulence on the way to get there, in which I believed that I needed to take more of a behind the scenes seat in order to be viable professionally. But I think the essence of me and the inner child in me has always known, and what I'm doing now is proof to him that he was right.
But don't you think you probably learned a lot of really valuable things when you went, quote, behind the scenes? Did you take a lot of valuable things away from that experience with you that helped you even be better on the stage?
I mean, yes, I wouldn't be writing for the stage, period, at all. And
Right.
now people say, are you more an actor or more a writer? And I can't really choose, because all my writing up to this point has been a vehicle for my performance. And so they're so intertwined and so enmeshed. Um, I mean, I did try to take one directing class in college, and it was like, I absolutely am not a director. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Maybe I will one day direct for TV, as a lot of sort of, uh, you know, autobiographical personalities, when they put their lives on television, they end up directing certain episodes. I think I could wrap my brain around that. But at this point of my life, just the concept of running a tech and and telling actors what they should be doing and you should move here. No, that's why I always have directors for my work, because I want uh, that outside eye that
Yeah.
makes me better
Yeah.
than I would be by myself.
And when we say behind the scenes, are we referring to being an intern over at the public, a literary intern at the public, or is there a whole host of behind the scenes?
No, no, no. I think I'm taking it back to like teenage years,
Hmm.
when I was auditioning for role, like dreaming of playing the baker and Into the Woods, and being told, "Oh, you look more like the narrator." And like, what does that mean? I was 16 years old. Like, what does that mean? Um,
Right.
Do
and
you feel like with your mobility device, they would always age you up?
yes, most of my roles as a younger person, save from like the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland, which is just mystical and magical. That was my sort of first foray into youth and teen theater, uh, and and then I started to play everyone's dad, or the narrator, or the grandfather, when I say behind the scenes, I think I'm talking about mental perception. I never even entertained the idea, even though I always dreamed of like starring in Broadway musicals. I never even considered that I might audition for a college MT program at all. I self-selected myself out of that
Mm.
pool, because it just became clear to me, oh gosh, I've been playing all the old people as a teenager. What am I going to do after college when there are old people to play the old people? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I thought, I have to be a playwright or director. And then I quickly learned I wasn't a director. So it was like, I have to be a playwright. And even then, I was pretending that what I was writing wasn't about me. And clearly it was, until finally my mentor in solo performance, Tim Miller, who's based in Los Angeles, he goes around to colleges and universities everywhere and teaches autobiographical performance.
Mm.
And he basically said, you can stop pretending. We know that his name is not Ethan or Tom. We know that it's Ryan. So just say that it's Ryan and let yourself take up the space, like the physical, literal space. You basically, you are enough, which I know now is very overused and overtrotted phrase, but it means a great deal. And Davine Joy Randolph just echoed it on the Oscars. You know, I all for so long I just wanted to be different, and now I realize I just needed to be me. I mean, that was
It's also
beautiful.
terrifying though to go out there and say, this is me. You have nothing to hide behind. You can't say, well, it's a character, and I'm hiding behind this and this. Well, this might not have really happened if it's a character, but when it's you and you're putting you out there and you have
Yeah.
all the ugly, all the beautiful, all of it, that's scary. That's scary. And it's hard to do. So I think anybody would instinctually call the character by a different name because it's slightly safer place.
I have fun and I'm
Yeah.
not afraid of it, except for when I do some like ugly thing, which I always like to sort of lift in the work because I think it's important for me to be honest. If I'm not being honest about all my human flaws, then it's just a vanity project.
Yeah.
And who wants to do that? Sometimes I call him the character of Ryan only so that I can create some distance or acknowledge that it's a performance. I sit there and I go, well, how do I not let myself off the hook, but still not have them like hate me by the end of the play?
Sure.
And every time it's different because every story is different. And every piece is either carving out a different theme of my life or a different sort of chapter experience of my life. And most of the time, if there's enough distance temporally, like chronologically, of the real me and the real events and this stage performance, I have enough emotional distance where I can make you think that it's happening to me right now, but it's not messing with my head. And then other times it's like, oh, why? This was 5, 6 years ago, but I'm still emotionally in the same place. Isn't that interesting? And those are the times that it's those are the times that I'm actively feeling the vulnerability as a person while I'm doing it.
Yeah, Mary Lee and I have brought up before, there's a real powerful way of telling and retelling a story, but sometimes it's still so fresh that you're reliving the story. And that is not artful. That's actually just painful.
Yeah.
And that doesn't feel like a gift that I'm giving away to the audience. It doesn't yet feel healing.
The other interesting thing about that is, remember when we were talking to Christina Wong?
Yes.
Because she does
Yeah.
that very
Love her.
similarly, right? She writes very autobiographical moments in her life. And she was saying, there are some wonderful things that I wrote that I've just outgrown. I've sort of
Mm.
moved into a new phase, and going back and talking about that old phase doesn't feel authentic anymore. It doesn't serve me anymore. What am I telling it for? You outgrow a piece of yourself, and it's funny to go back and think about, but it may be too late to present because the lessons behind it or the motivation behind it has shifted within yourself. So why are you telling it? It's really interesting.
I also find that with some interviews. I'm not
Yeah.
judging, I'm just paying attention. I can listen to an artist give, let's say, 12 interviews. There's an absolute script there
Yeah.
that they are rehashing and rehashing and rehashing. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, the authenticity is no longer, it is their truth, right? But they have formed certain answers that just feel comfortable and fit the
Yeah.
bill. And you go, oh, this is a stale script. Yeah.
Mm.
And then you
Yeah.
wonder, is that how they are in their life? Is there a lack of self exploration in their life? Or is this a guard that they put up because they've been wounded by putting too much of themselves out there in the world? So when you're doing your shows, and they are very personal and they are very much about your life and yourself and your feelings and your thoughts, do you read the reviews, or is that just too close to home?
I read them. I'm kind of curious. The one thing I was not going to make you go back and correct in your beautiful synthesized biography of me was that you said I had 2 critics picks in the Times. I think I only have one. I think there was one for Dark Disabled Stories, and that the review of
Not
Hi, Are
correct.
You Single, which I had been performing for years and years, no one really knew that it was going to be reviewed by the New York Times, but it was because it was a DC theater, but it was a digital offering. And so, all these, places were reviewing it. And my memory of that review, which I think I only read one time, was that it was certainly mixed. And I don't think that Jesse Green gave it a critic's pick. But it's so interesting because, there are people who just don't read reviews at all. And then there are people who read every single one, or they wait until the show is over. But in this case, I had taped it months before, and now I'm like sitting on the couch in my underwear during pandemic quarantine time. So I was like, well, it's no skin off my back to read it. And I read it once. And to me, it was mixed negative. But to other people on the creative team, it was mixed positive. Or there were some people who were out and out congratulating me on a rave, and I'm reading, and I'm going, what are you talking about? What did you read that you thought that was a rave? Wow. But he did, as Jesse Green often does, kind of end in a soft place, like end in a positive place. And so if that's what people took away, but this was a show that I had been performing for 5.5, 6 years at that point. And to me, any little thing was sort of a prick and a dagger. So then what I do now is I read them once, maybe twice, and then it's over, and then it's gone.
Yeah, you turn the page and move on.
I turn the page and move on.
Well, now you can say, though, slated a critic's pick by Stages Podcast. That's very true.
Dang, my God, of course. Literally,
doctor, you got to spin it sometimes. Look, people come up to me, they're like, oh, I love that you were nominated for a Tony for Pirate Queen. I'm like, oh,
I was?
No, I'm sorry, what? No, we can barely.
Thank you.
We barely got a write-up saying we were part of the season. So
I know, and that's why when you asked me before we started if my Stephanie J. Block song du jour was from Pirate Queen. It's like, I'm so sorry, but no. Pirate Queen didn't make it to Ohio, to teenagers in Ohio.
Maybe that's my essay. The Pirate Queen did not make it to Ohio by Stephanie J. First, what does the J stand for? We're brother and sister in J's. Okay.
James. It was my brothers and I have different moms, and their grandfather was beloved by my whole family, and we're now this wonderful blended family, and their mom and stepdad come to all our holidays and things like that.
Love that.
At the time, their grandfather, not mine, had just died like a year before while my mom was pregnant with me. And his name was, they called him Gigi Jamil. He was a Lebanese immigrant. And, in true Ohio fashion, instead of Ryan Jamil Haddad, they did Ryan James Haddad, which is great. But I sort of keep it there first because I thought it sounded fancy. And now I sort of, in my grown-up reflection of the past and of ancestry and family by blood or not, I realize it is a tribute to him, and that's why it's there.
Is there a strong Lebanese community in Ohio?
There is. I mean, Lebanese Syrian community for sure. We were raised Syrian Orthodox. I'm third generation, so my parents were raised by the children of immigrants, right? So my parents had to go to church every week, brought by their family, and so they sort of didn't do that. We went to church like 5, maybe 7, 10 if we were really good times a year. But that is where it sort of existed for me. Certainly not in the suburb of Parma, where I went to a public high school where we're teeming with Lebanese and Syrian people. But when you go to church, it was like, oh yes, and half the service is in Arabic, and that's where sort of the cultural center was. Outside of that, because my grandparents were raised by immigrants, they would be the ones kind of speaking little bits of Arabic, even though they were totally like primary English speakers. By my time,
Right.
the Arabic language had not trickled down, that we didn't learn it, and therefore like it was a secret, and we could just
They could talk about things that kids couldn't understand.
yes,
It's
yes,
very
yes.
similar because my parents, again, were the same thing. They were raised by the children of immigrants from Italy. Same thing. My grandmother and my father could speak Italian, never taught us, so they could have conversations that we couldn't understand. And the traditions that were so strong when I was young are all but dissipated now. You know, it's
Mm.
very, it's all become so lost. Do you carry some of those traditions on in your life that you grew up with?
I mean, I think so, but when you ask about traditions, I can't really like pin what did that mean as a child? How was that tied to our Lebanese Assyrian heritage
Mm.
or not? But what has carried, it's bittersweet now because all my grandparents are gone. Uh, and the great aunt and uncle that I thought of as grandparents are also gone. Is the food. The food has carried through time, and my mom still makes the food, and my aunts and uncles who are, of my parents' generation make the food that they learned to make from their parents, that they learned to make from their parents. And there are some slight modifications, or let's say simplifications that are done, and that my grandmother and great aunt, no, oh my God, you have to broil the eggplant. You can't skip broiling the eggplant ahead of baking it. And I was like, I think like I could, like I think that my mother just made it so that it was easier for me, a guy who barely cooks with cerebral palsy, to be able to assemble this dish. It's okay. Like I'm
Well,
not.
it's like telling the Italians they have to go gluten free. It's like, what? What are you talking about? We're not gluten free pasta.
I
What are you out of your
know.
mind?
I know. So the food is what has carried through, and I only know how to make like two things right now, but I'm very mindful of it and mindful of the passage of time and the sort of losses that we have incurred just in the last 5, 10 years, and making an intentional effort to sort of carry forward those recipes and learn more than just the two or even one and a half that I currently know. I feel their presence in the bites of food. So if and when I'm able to create that somehow, it's just really like moving to me.
Two thoughts immediately, because we watch so many cartoons, is I think of Ratatouille, right? And the food critic comes and he eats that very simple country ratatouille that immediately throws him back to when he's a young
Mm.
child eating that. Also, Vivi's school is doing something very special. They have an auction coming up, and each class, every student was asked to bring in a family recipe. And so they all brought in these like old cookbooks. My mother wrote her mother's mother Italian,
Ah,
red sauce, meat sauce. It's not a bolognese, it's a meat sauce with sausages and, chunks of steak. And it's in my grandmother's handwriting. And they brought in this old Betty Crocker, and everybody brought in their recipes. And then they had to handwrite them in their little handwriting, starting, I think, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade. And they're putting together the class family recipes, and they'll be auctioned off at this auction. And I thought, what a special thing
it's
to for
gorgeous.
just for an understanding of generation, then to have that in their young handwriting, whether they're eight,
Yes.
9, 10 years old, and like everything from just how you even dice parsley. It's very
Mm.
these grandparents were very specific as to how every ingredient, anyway, that it
And
took
how
me
meaningful that
thoughts.
would be for your mom's mom
Yeah.
to know that her recipe was transcribed by
By
Vivi. I
that
mean,
little one.
Yes. So special. Yeah.
yeah.
Grandma Marie,
Wow.
Marie Garitano.
Now, wait, Stephanie, count back with me. I remember we talked about a woman is born with all the eggs she'll ever have in her lifetime. And
That's
those were in
correct.
her mother. Now, was it in the grandmother too, right?
I would have been.
You would have been. Oh,
I
but not
would
your
have been in
daughter.
my
Okay, okay,
grandmother's,
okay,
correct.
okay.
So, for example, when Vivi was in my womb, she's carrying my
Your mother.
grandchildren, which means I was, well,
Yeah.
hopefully carrying my own grandchildren.
That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? Oh
Mm.
my gosh. So what's happening next for you? Can you tell me what's going on, what's coming up, and what we should look for?
I can. I have yet another off-Broadway endeavor coming up, which will be my second as a playwright performer. It is a solo play called Hold Me in the Water, and it's going to be happening on the main stage of Playwrights Horizons
Oh, that's so great.
in the spring of 2025.
Ah,
And I'm very excited. It's a story of first love and longing and finding yourself while trying to find someone else.
Was it a commission or was it something that had already been written, and or do you just have such a great relationship now with playwrights and the public that they look to you and say, "Hey, what do you got?"
I wish. No, all of my plays that exist sort of now and in rotation, they had at minimum been first drafts, if not far beyond that, back in 2019 before the pandemic. So I have this sort of catalog of work, and some of it has been seen and some of it hasn't. So this is going to be a world premiere uh, of something that was commissioned in 2019
oh, wow.
by Nor Theater, which is the Arab American theater company. And so I'm so grateful to them. They had just seen me do sort of off the cuff storytelling. And then they said, "Are you going to make this into a full length piece?" And I said, "I mean, I could." And that's how it started. But it has grown and it has developed.
Is it a solo piece? Did you
This
say
is a
that?
solo
It
piece.
is a solo piece.
This is a solo play.
You said the words money and resources, and my mind circled back to sort of like disability aesthetics and making theaters more accessible with captions and audio descriptions and ASL interpreters. How do you find the state of that in our theaters to date?
Oh, interesting. Well, I think those are two different questions. The state of it right now is sort of a across the board is like a bare minimum approach, where they'll have one, maybe two captioned or ASL performances, which means that there are one, maybe two performances that deaf audiences can access, and then audio description is also like a one-off sort of thing during whatever run it is for a nonprofit off Broadway. And sometimes on Broadway, even the most financially robust of shows, there's not necessarily a mandate that they have to do those kinds of performances. I mean, there are ADA seating sort of requirements and things like that, but Dark Disabled Stories was the first time I, as an artist, a lead artist, was interrogating the way that access could be folded into my work from the start. And we had a wonderful deaf actor named Dickie Hartz who was playing me alongside me, and all of our staging was intertwined, and it was completely like a duet. And then Alejandra Ospina was doing our audio description, and it was a really sort of gorgeous. We would do something, and then she would describe what we had just done, and describe for the blind and low vision audience what our relationship to each other was on stage. And it was this wonderful duet between me and Dickie, but then trio between all three of us. And access was so baked in. And I learned by becoming dear friends with Dickie that, it's just not what the bare minimum is right now is not enough to entice or excite deaf audiences at large to go and see a thing where they feel like it's been tacked on and they feel like they're an afterthought. I can't, at this moment that we're recording, say exactly what the accessibility parameters for our show next year is going to be. My solo play, it is going to be a solo play, unlike Dark Disabled Stories, which was a trio ensemble piece. But I do feel a commitment to provide access and provide more than is generally offered to the deaf and disabled communities. It becomes a question of what is right for this piece, what is right for this story. and it's not a copy and paste. It's not a one size fits all. We offered one way of accessible storytelling back at the public. And I do want to say, Dark Disabled Stories was produced by the Bushwick Star at the Public Theater. So it was,
Thank
you
you for that
know,
clarification.
a smaller, somewhat less resourced theater in Brooklyn who was really passionate about our work and found a way to bring it to the stage. And thankfully, the public was able to come in when venue and building and space became a pandemic problem for the Star, and helped sort of bridge the funding gap, which was really important. But I do want to uplift the Bushwick Star as being so, never once did they sort of shy away from access costs money, and they knew that, and they went and committed more resources than they're usually able to, and they found funding, and they courted the public, and the public said yes to them as much as they were saying yes to me. There will be a robust amount of access offerings for Hold Me in the Water. I just don't know what form they're going to take at this moment. We're in a sort of creative space. And I think that that's exciting, that we can try to get creative about access and not say, well, this worked one time, so we're going to do it the same exact way. No.
I hope this isn't disrespectful because I love your captions, even on Instagram. Ryan, because you don't just explain, you editorialize. Is that a word?
Editorialize.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your commentary. So if it's like here is Ryan. He is leaning against a wall. He's wearing a pink button-up shirt with a, grin on his face. That's not you. You'd be like, here's Ryan with supple salt and pepper hair, wearing a pink shirt bought at Loman's at the bargain basement off the sale rack. Like that stuff brings me so much joy. I don't know if it's correct or incorrect to find that much joy from
Well,
your
I mean,
captions.
I don't actually know if like on Instagram, like that's like the best practice way of clear,
It's
concise
not. It's
audiences.
not. But
But
maybe in your show, you can voice some of these captions for your audience because it really, at least for me, it allows me to get into your humor, what's important to you, all the little specifics that make it so unique and fun. And they're really heartfelt. Like it makes me laugh. Makes me
and it's
laugh
an
like
added layer of storytelling. I mean,
yeah.
and that's what I think. That's why, like, learning from Dickie, and Andrew Morrow was our director of artistic sign language on Dark Disabled Stories. He's like a gorgeous actor and performer in his own right, and writer as well. But between the two of them, I sort of learned that like this idea of dynamic captioning and or how do you, it's not just exact transcription verbatim. You want to be able to lift, and you want to give a sense of there's a music cue, and what is that music cue, and how do you put that into words for an audience member who is not able to access that music cue. But
Right.
clearly, if the music coming in as underscore is meant to give meaning to whatever is happening, then they deserve their way into that too. So
Okay, I'm not going to call you an inspiration, but you are.
oh
And
my
I hate that
God.
you
Oh
don't have
my
more time. Stop
God.
it. But you are. But you
Wait a
are.
minute.
Accept it.
Oh, I have a story.
As
I have a
Oprah
story.
was, as Lucy is, like,
Thank you. And I
inspiration.
get that. And that feels different to me. That feels different to me. But when you put it in a direct contact or immediate connection to my disability, that's when it feels diluted. Because that
Yes.
is to the wider public, the value of disabled people existing in society is to inspire you and to say,
Yes.
gosh, well, my life can't be that hard because look at him. I want to inspire you because I have an OB and a drama desk. I want to inspire you because I made something fabulous that really made you feel something great. But and
And you made people think in a new way, and you made people think outside the box. That's what you do,
And
is
you're
you think outside the
expanding our
box.
art form. Like
Yes.
all of
Yes.
these things are huge, inspirational.
Not because
things.
of or in spite of a disability,
No.
but just
Thank
because
you.
That's
Thank you.
who you are as a human being. You inspire and grow and make people think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We will be right back with the 5 questions after a word from our sponsors.
Okay, I walk into your closet. Is there a garment? Is there a piece of jewelry? Anything, an item that holds so many memories and is so important you will never get rid of it?
It's a pair of Perry Ellis burgundy maroon-ish jeans that were very tightly fitted back in 2018, let's say. And I say already that I bought them at Burlington. So it wasn't like I went to perryellis.com. They just happened to be there, and they just happened to be in a size that fit me at the time. And those are sort of my I go through ebbs and flows as to whether the waist still fits and I'm still able to wear them, but they do hold a lot of memories. I've worn them in performances. I've worn them on dates, very important dates, that were sort of seminal for my romantic and sexual life. And I'm not going to let them go, even if we get to a point where I'm never able to put them back on. They meant something, and they were certainly a bargain. And it feels like, they came to me off that Burlington rack on 14th Street in Union Square. I look damn good in them when they actually fit.
Good.
Okay.
I have learned now when I outgrow pants, I put the crotch behind my neck, I put the legs over my shoulders, and if you just whip them around, guys, they're scarves. I'm just saying, if they're comfy pants, they're sweatpants, they're really warm and really cozy. Crotch behind the neck, leg, flip, you're ready to go. So cozy.
Yes.
Okay. This next question it comes from a book of the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows. It's just this cool book that has random strange words from all different cultures and all around the world. And I pick a word, and then you and Stephanie have to guess either what the meaning is or make up your own meaning. The word is inity. It's a noun.
Inity.
INNITY. Inity. A noun.
Noun. Inity. Inity. The noun.
It's like the opposite of outity. I don't it's it's it's
An inity is a small coral reef off Gibraltar
I love her definition.
where microscopic seahorses are a perfect shade of purple. You can only find them in the Gibraltar inity.
Wow.
and
that is
the mom of a child with an imagination. I
Mhm.
can see
Mhm.
the sort of you were doing yes and with yourself there.
Yeah.
Right. I have
Yeah.
been the mini
is a mom
seahorse in
making
the
up stories.
Gibraltar
Oh yeah.
inity. Yeah. Coral reefs. Mhm.
Okay.
And inity is a window to your soul and memory, and it is a very personal place of contemplation and reflection within our human psychology.
Wow, that's really
Oh, for
nice.
Pete's sake, that's really good. That
It's
could
way better
actually
than
be right. Go
seahorses.
ahead.
Okay.
Whatever. I'm creative.
Inity is the complicated solitude of a hotel room late at night.
Oh,
Spending
I thought
time
you were
in a
right.
place that's both yours and emphatically not yours, both soulless and homey, both timeless and temporary, suspended somewhere half between vacancy and no vacancy. Don't you love that one?
Whoa. Well, an inn,
Yeah,
a
an inn
T, inn,
comes from a small
INN.
hotel or tavern for travelers in inity. Isn't that
Okay.
Could that be
Love that.
a coral reef for
With
seahorses?
seahorses.
It's where the seahorses stay at hotels.
Where they go to reflect
in a hotel.
and it feels that's right. Do you eat pizza? If so,
Oh,
are
sure.
you thin, thick crush, deep dish, and what are your perfect toppings?
Sure. I can do thin or medium-sized crust. Deep dish is not for me. Medium, like, I don't know. I think of it as standard crust because I'm from Ohio. So there's like Ohio pizza,
right.
which is like Midwest pizza versus New York pizza, which is a very different thing. But I love thin or medium.
Okay, what are your
And
toppings?
toppings wise, some might say boring. I say traditional, just
Classic.
just
Just the
plain
cheese.
cheese. Just cheese.
Okay.
Oh, not even
If
the
y-
Peps. Okay.
if you could wake up tomorrow morning with a superpower, any superpower, what would it be?
It would just be the ability to get from A to B instantaneously with no hassles of transportation because
Mm.
the MTA is just out and out not accessible to disabled people. But I also think, like, no matter where you go in the country or the world, transportation is always a barrier
Yeah.
for those with mobility disabilities. It's just different depending on where you are. So because of the MTA's lack of access, I spend a lot of my income on Ubers and Lyfts, and
Mm.
it's, I would love to not have that be as big of an expense as it ends up having to be in my life.
Mm.
And also, I'm just always perpetually late. I mean, don't tell anybody who's trying to hire me, but I'm just a late person. So if I could
You
just
and
like
Barbara Streisand.
if I could just
That's
put
right.
the clothes on and snap the fingers and be there, it would make me more friendly to many people who probably, oh God, Ryan, here he comes again. We can hear his walker. Oh no. So it's not about like getting rid of the walker or any kind of mobility device. It's just about,
Getting there.
oh, I have to get downtown. Fabulous. Oh, it's half hour. I can go from my bed to the dressing room just in a moment notice.
Right. All right. Here's the question for everybody. If you were a nail polish color, what is that color and what's the cheeky little name?
This one I do recall
The
because
prep.
I've been brainstorming it. Um, when I was decorating this studio apartment, I had never had a place of my own before. I had never in New York I'd always subletted, nothing was my own. So I didn't know I had a color palette. I didn't know I had things I gravitated towards. And suddenly everything I was buying was turquoise. And I had friends, people who are inclined in the area of interior decoration, and even family members going, what is it with all this turquoise?
Yeah, I
And
see
I
your
said, I
turquoise lamp and the turquoise rug right behind
Uh-huh.
you.
and
Yeah.
the
The comforter.
Oh,
bedspread
that's the
and like
bedspread. I thought
and
that
Yeah.
the
was the rug.
chair that I'm
Mhm.
in right now. So, and one of those friends said to me, her name's Alexa, she said, turquoise is your neutral. Forget beige and forget white. Turquoise to you is like neutral. So I would call it turquoise neutral.
I
Mm,
love that.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Me too. We appreciate you. Thank you for saying
I appreciate
yes.
you. Oh my gosh, I
So happy
appreciate you
this
so much.
conversation happened. And we look forward to all of the exciting things that are
Coming
coming
up.
your way. Thank you.
Thank you. So good to meet you.
Remember, you and me, we're not like the rest. We once
We
were.
once
Right.
were the best. Yeah, that was
Oh,
not Liza. I don't know what that mixture was. Mm,
thank you. Good.
bye.
I'll miss you.
Bye.
Thank you for that. This was an honor. And Mary Lee,
Such a
wonderful to meet you.
pleasure.
Same.
Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye. Coming up next, what struck a chord? Okay, I want to ask you
Talk to me.
favorite like meal that draws up all the childhood memories because we were talking about that and I want to know what yours is.
Meal. Okay. If I have happy meals, it's going to be like a pot roast. It's going to be in a crock
Ah,
pot that has sat. And so I get home from school and the house smells of it. It's going to have
onions.
potatoes, carrots, onions,
Mm,
and, what do you even put in there? Like a prime, no, a
some kind of
roast.
meat. Yeah,
A
roast.
roast. Yeah.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
a good one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mine is
You?
so weird. But the thing that really drums up the childhood memories, like at Christmas, is it's going to sound bizarre. It was a Sicilian squid pie. My
Oh,
aunt and my
no.
grandmother
I'm
would make.
sorry. That was not the right expression. But for someone who eats nothing from the sea,
Yeah, no, you
that's
wouldn't
really
enjoy it.
something.
But she would chop up all the squid and it would be garlicky and then she'd make this like like a pie crust, and oh my God, it was so good. It was my
So good.
favorite thing when I was a little kid. That and
Oh,
raviolis remind me of my grandmother because we used to
of
make
course.
homemade raviolis, and she had this special shot glass, and she would cut them out with her special shot glass. I just remember like
But if you were
that
in
to
Vivi's
me. Oh,
cookbook, would you do the squid pie? In Vivi's cookbook, would you
I'd probably do
submit
the
like the
raviolis
squid
because
pie?
most people are like
Okay.
squid pie, but it was delicious. It was so good. Yeah,
Delicious.
and I've never even tried to make it,
Oh,
but yeah. I just was dying to ask you that because we had asked him.
he is really such a story. I mean, such a storyteller. He
Yeah.
is succinct, but his details
Yeah.
are just really like palpable. And even you look at his face when he's talking about it, they're fresh. They're right there. You know, I it's gotten to a point, even though everybody knows I'm a journal writer, everybody knows that I like to document dates still in like a hard calendar book, a planner. Um, I don't know if I trust my memories and the details
Mm,
of my life anymore.
mm.
I really don't. I come to the table with such confidence and will tell a story, and somebody will be like, no, whether it's childhood memories, and my sister will kind of say, well, no, we were at so and so's house, not there. And I'll be like, really? Really? Or she's like, you don't remember when we went to the rodeo that one? And like, there are complete moments in my life where I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
that
that's got to be
happens to me.
normal, though, right?
I don't know. I
All the
mean, that
time.
happens to me. Michael has incredible recall. Like he can tell you his high school locker combination and the kid he sat next to in math
Oh,
class
wow.
in seventh grade. Like I can't do that. I literally don't have very many childhood memories, and it's always concerned me a little bit. Like why
Uh huh.
why have I blocked out most of my childhood? And I don't know. It could be a lot.
Or
I don't
maybe
know what it
now
is.
it's the present that fills
Yeah,
your space, like your
yeah.
whole you are
So I
now
don't dwell.
prioritizing your that's right, your
Right.
present life, your son, all the needs of
Yeah.
what has to
There's
happen
only so much
the here and
space in
now.
there. There's
That's
only so
right.
much space.
I
It has to move out to a
I
filing
agree.
cabinet if it's not currently being used. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
but also just because your sister remembers it a different way doesn't mean that her memory is correct either.
that's true. What do
That's
they
just
say? There's
her
always three
recall.
sides to a story.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah. People can
it
grow
is
up in the
true.
same house and have an absolutely opposite memory of the same moment. That's what I find.
I have a
But
question for you that I was going
yes,
to
ma'am.
ask him because in doing homework and even writing his bio, I was writing the word theater. I must have written it 30 some times in this, preparation
R-E
for this interview.
or
Do
E-R.
you do RE or ER? And
I
is
switch
one
off.
for the actual brick and mortar building and one is the act of making theater? Like,
I don't know. I switch off because I have no idea.
yeah.
What do
I mean,
you
I
do?
know one comes, well, I kind of do like if it's, no, I switch off. I was going to
Yeah.
say if it's like a theater, a place where you go to enjoy live performances, that's an RE.
Yeah.
But if you're doing theater, it's ER. If it's
ER.
like a verb,
Yeah.
it's ER. That's,
Yeah,
I
I think
think,
that
my rule of thumb.
I think that's
But
how I do it
even
too.
on like different websites or, different journalists do different things, I was like, I wonder what he does. And I didn't get to ask him that. I was
Oh, that's a
interested,
good one.
as silly as it sounds.
Not
Maybe that's
silly.
one of our new questions.
These are the burning questions.
Oh, I have to know. Can't move on
That
until
might be a good 5 question. All right,
are
lady.
you a theater ER? Oh, you got to go, don't you?
I do. I gotta go.
All right. Well,
Love ya.
okay. I love you. Goodbye.